Hey guys, my name's Nate and I'm the Otter Outdoorsman, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 3 items that you should have in your first aid kit. This video was actually prompted by me being tagged by a channel that I follow, The Last Grown Up in the Woods. Carly over there tagged me in it because she wanted to see the three items that I bring with me in my first aid kit. I don't do a lot of tag videos on my channel, but this one I thought would add something because I do like this topic, and I actually have been working on my own personal first aid kit for a while, and I do carry one with me. So I figured I'd show you some of the items that I do carry with me into the woods. So for number 3 is a tourniquet. I do carry a tourniquet with me whenever I go in the woods. Since I handle a axe, because I handle an axe, a saw, a knife, accidents can happen, and that can lead to bleeding to the point of it won't stop, and I may have to put on a tourniquet. I do know when to put on a tourniquet. I really do recommend you look it up, research that. So I do keep one of these. My first aid kit is always at a point where I can grab it at a moment's notice. It's never buried in my pack. My first aid kit is never at a point where I can not grab it. I actually keep a first aid kit. Carly showed hers off. She keeps hers in a Ziploc bag. I keep mine in a Hidden Woodsman's Possibles pouch, and generally with this portion sticking up. And this is usually up in my pack like this. So the second I need it, I can grab it, put it up, and if it's in my overnight pack, it's actually in one of my side pouches that I can just unzip and pull it out. And I've had to pull out my first aid kits before, either for me or for other people. Never had to pull out this bad boy. I try and be careful. But keeping a tourniquet on you is a very important piece of kit. And I'm not saying because you're going to need it. I'm saying because you may need it. And I live by a philosophy of it's better to prepare, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. It's a philosophy I live by. And this is one of those cases of hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. Because if I need this, it's there, but if I don't, it doesn't weigh much. And yes, I could make this out of rope and a stick, but I'd rather, but when my leg is, if I'm bleeding out through my leg or my arm, this is right there at the top of my first aid kit. And I can quickly whip this on. And I literally do keep this, it's right there, and unzip, grab, throw it on. And I've taught myself to do a lot of first aid one-handed. Especially when I used to teach first aid. Anyways, so one of the items is definitely a tourniquet. And if you don't know what a tourniquet is, basically what it is you wrap it around your arm, especially around the artery, and you tighten it, and it basically cuts off the flow to the artery, or it cuts off the flow of the arteries, which stops blood flow to the rest of the limb. And that basically can stop you from bleeding out. The thing is, when using them, I'm not going to give you a lot of advice on using them. Again, do more research on them. This is one of the more advanced first aid pieces of kit, which is why I'm not going to go into a lot of detail into it. But if you do use it, you also have to write when you used it, because if you leave it on there for too long, eventually they do have to amputate. But anyways, on to the second piece. One of the other pieces I really do like carrying with me is a bandana. Now, don't go anywhere. Don't think I'm trying to spread things with saying, oh, you can do everything with a bandana and duct tape. I'm not one of those types of people. I don't use this for wound care. This is not a wound care piece of kit for me. This is a general kind of wrapping. I do actually carry regular wrapping with me for wounds and stuff. I do carry wrapping for legs, but I do like carrying one of these with me because if I need to make a quick sling out of it, if I need to get it wet and throw it around my neck to keep my carotid arteries cool, it's nice. I can use it for a lot of different purposes than just it being a bandana. And yes, I could rip it, use it for char cloth for the survival purposes of a bandana, but some of the first aid uses of it is definitely also with, if I'm getting heat exhaustion, my hat's not doing enough, and I need to get it off my neck. I can always do like one of those things, go like that, looks silly, but it keeps the sun off my neck. But one of the things I really do like doing is I like getting it wet. I do like getting a bandana wet, wrapping around my neck, and kind of keeping my neck cool because I do deal with heat exhaustion. Deal with heat exhaustion a lot, and I've done a video on it, and I've suffered from heat exhaustion quite a few times. We've also used it to cover wrappings before, just to make sure that it's not being affected by brush. They have a lot of uses, as I said. I mean, it's basically, the sky's the limits for it. But I do like keeping them around just in case. They weigh nothing, and they have 1,000 uses, especially in first aid. So it's worth keeping around. But again, I don't really use them for dressing a wound unless you need to. Mostly because I'm also using this to dab my sweat. Because this isn't generally something I keep in my first aid kit per se. I keep it in my my wishcraft kit or my pocket. And so it gets dirty, and I don't want to tend to my wound with a dirty cloth. But that brings me to my third point. Now, the most important thing or not the most important thing, but something that I like to carry around with me is bringing a hot poker and a lighter. Gotta cauterize those wounds. Nah, I'm just kidding. That isn't really how it's not something I keep in my first aid kit. It's a saw to amputate. I'm just kidding. I need to stop making jokes while I'm doing this. Really, the most important thing that I like keeping with me is something for everyday bumps, not bumps and bruises, but scrapes that I get. Band-Aids and alcohol strips or alcohol wipes. Yes, you can use duct tape and gauzes. Those work too. But I like keeping these in here as well. And when I say getting something like adhesive Band-Aids, I mean I get extremely durable, waterproof Band-Aids that, even when wet, hold. And I get the more expensive versions of them, and I get the variety pack. So I get them in the ones where you can get small and big, and I try and put a wide variety of them in my first aid kit. And the reason I do this is, yes, I'm gonna get bigger injuries in the woods. It's gonna happen. But I have bigger gauzes in my first aid kit for those scrapes, but I don't carry as many of them. They take up a lot of room. And those injuries are a lot more rare. Again, they're going to happen, but they're not as common. for me, most of the cuts, scrapes that I'm going to get are going to be from branches, they're going to be from thorns, and I'm going to get either cut up or something like that. And I mean, yes, if it's a small cut, I'll just probably suck on it, let it see if it closes up, I'll be fine, whatever, I'll move on. But I've had some that just don't stop bleeding. And when you're out in the woods, a bleeder is not something you want to deal with. And I've been on hikes, I've been on walks where I didn't carry a Band-Aid with me, where I didn't have a fully stocked or I did have one of these, but I didn't have one of these. And it's just it's not good. It's not a fun experience then you're sitting there, and yes, there's a lot of natural alternatives that you can use. If you don't have a pine allergy, you can use pine sap, but then while you're bleeding, you have to find a pine, which in my area is not that hard, but you then have to scrape it, make sure that the sap is pouring, and then you have to clean the wound again, get the sap on there, and it's a process. I'd rather, again, wipe it with an alcohol wipe, put a Band-Aid on it, call it done, deal with it, and it's good. And having a few of these, it's a one and done, it's over with. And also, these aren't always for me. I've had situations on hikes where I've been out and someone else has been injured that I've run into. There was one time where I was on a hike, a local hike up at the Blue Hills, a common place near me, and there was a kid that he ended up getting a blister on his foot, or it was something like that. He had an injury on his foot that just needed a Band-Aid, but his parents didn't have one on him, and the kid was like 4. His parents didn't have a first aid kit on them, and I just turned and went, "Hey, do you have?" It's like I could tell they didn't have anything on them. And when we used to hike it when I was a kid, my father always carried a day pack with him that had a first aid kit, snacks, the like on it. And one of the things he always carried was a small first aid kit, which did include things like alcohol wipes, Band-Aids, the works. And so I do the same. And for the same reason. And I turned to them and went, "Hey, do you guys need a Band-Aid? Do you guys need some alcohol wipes?" And like, "Oh, do you have some?" "Yeah, give me a second." I just went in my backpack, pulled it out, went, "Here you go." And they patched up the kid, and they were happy. They thanked me, and they were on their way. And so it may not just be for you where, okay, yeah, you could troop through it, but you don't know who you come across in the field. Because your first aid kit isn't just for you. It isn't just for you. Think about that. But anyways, these are kind of 3 of the items that I kind of consider the alcohol wipes and the Band-Aids one item, because you generally do need alcohol wipes, or you generally do want to sanitize when you cover them, but you don't always need to. But it's especially in the field, it's generally better to. And these do have a double use. They have alcohol. It doesn't give you a long flame, but I've been able to get small flames with it. But these are definitely a few of the items that I do carry with me. I do carry a lot more with me. I'm going to eventually go into it a bit more once I'm happy with how my first aid kit is, and after I've kind of field tested it plenty. I will be going into my first aid kit a bit more. But I figure I should probably tag a few people onto this, see what they like to carry with them. And I think I'll tag a couple of my friends, I'm curious to see what 3 items they think about. I'm going to go with Kevin over at Kevin's Adventures, see what he thinks. Mark over at Eat Carbs, I'm curious to see what you think as well. And I'm curious of what those 2 are thinking. Carly, it was a good question. I'm glad that you posed this towards me. I'm I hope you enjoyed my answer, and I hope all of you enjoyed my answer as well. Anyways, my name's Nate. I'm the Otter Outdoorsman. Go outside, enjoy the woods, but be safe, everyone. Carry your first aid kit. See ya.